Welcome back to The Doers, the podcast where we dive into the real stories of building, struggling, and thriving in dentistry. I'm your host, Dan Hall. In each episode, we explore the challenges, victories, and lessons learned by the leaders in the trenches shaping the future of our industry. Today, I'm joined by Felipe Gomez, musician, two-time founder, and business leader. Felipe, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dan. Super happy to be here in the Doers and super happy to share some of my ideas and of my thoughts and, just having some fun.
I love it. Yeah, thanks for carving some time out for me. And just to give some context to the listeners, the viewers, you're going to be speaking at our Inner Circle conference coming up on January 29th in San Antonio, Texas. And that's why we're not somebody from the industry, but somebody who's done great things in business. And that's kind of one of the first questions I had for you, Felipe, is and when I look at your background, you got this global business leader, founder experience, and a musician. At what point and what was that path like when you decided to blend those two together?
No, it's a beautiful story because actually, when I graduated from high school, I struggled to decide if I should pursue a career in music or go more to the more traditional business education and at the end, I decided to go to the more traditional business career. I did business administration as an undergraduate degree and then did an MBA. And all of my career and my education has been in business. But I always kept playing the piano. It's been my passion, and it's like when I'm playing the piano, like in my element, I'm super happy. It's like a safe place for me. And I had those like two dimensions in my life side by side, but actually never integrated.
Okay.
And then as my career progressed and I had more opportunities to speak either to employees or to clients or I don't know, as a guest speaker in a college, in a university, where I felt this passion and this sense of I don't know of like meaning when I spoke. I felt that people connected, that people felt that I was saying something that I don't know sparked something in their minds, probably touched their hearts. And with time, I started realizing that maybe speaking was part of my calling, part of what I wanted to do professionally. So one day, a university professor invites me to speak to his students. I do this very short talk about the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur and the lessons that you learn, not necessarily in the good times, but in the bad times, you
Oh
know.
yeah.
And he told me, you should probably pursue something like this more seriously. And I said, okay, why not? So I started putting together a presentation about precisely that, like embracing an entrepreneurial mindset and using it in your life, regardless if you were creating a company or not, because I truly think that having an entrepreneurial mindset is a way of living, right? So I started with this, and people loved it. I actually wrote a book about it, and people always told me, "Do you have another one? Do you have another speech, another story you can share with us? Because we would like to have you back." And that's when I thought maybe I should try to combine music or to bring music into this storytelling, right? Um,
Okay.
Dimension of my life. I started thinking of how to doing it. I had a lot of role models like Benjamin Sanders, the conductor of the Boston Symphony, who also speaks, and other musicians that speak. Um, and I came to the with I came with the idea of becoming virtuosos in everything we do, which is a term that we use very oftenly in music, but not very oftenly in business. But I think it applies in business too. So that was like the whole idea. And I had this client in Colombia, where I'm from, which was this big annual event for HR professionals called Expo Talento or Expo Talent, and they have had me with this entrepreneurial attitude speech, and then the organizers told me, "Well, we want to invite you next year," and I said, "Yes, I have something." With a piano, with music, and I didn't have it at all. It was just the idea, but then I had that deadline, of doing it in 1 year. So I started thinking and scripting it and bringing the stories and everything, and then, a year later, I delivered that very first keynote with a piano on stage. it was super special. I thought that the music element gave it this, very unique, very personal, very intimate, very emotional element. That, well, there's this saying that music starts where words end, right? So as a speaker, I think it was a great compliment, because when my words ended, I could see that the piano start playing.
And play some music.
And that
Hey,
started evolving, and people started loving it, and they started calling me a lot, uh, to a certain point that I said, maybe this is my calling. So I resigned to my job. I was working for a big multinational corporation, and devoted full time to speaking. And now, probably 1,200 events later, where I've given this presentation, uh, what you guys are going to see in January is going to be the result of those 1,200 iterations of every time making little improvements. And it's something that it's very special, because it's solid from a content perspective, but then that music layer adds this, emotional layer that it's very, very powerful. So that's a little bit how it came to be.
I love the story. I love talking to entrepreneurs when you get that little spark of that idea that you just put your mind to it and start building it out and deliver on it, right? Fascinating. Thanks for sharing that with me.
No, Dan, my pleasure.
So, you've been working with our team now, getting in, preparing for Inner Circle. I'm curious, do you travel with your piano or do we get one when you're there?
Usually,
That's
well, at the beginning, I used to travel with my piano, and in
Oh,
my very
really?
early days in Colombia, I had a digital piano, and I traveled with it all everywhere, and it was a hassle, because the case is like a coffin, so it's as big as a coffin.
It's
It's a
huge.
very big, very heavy. Nowadays, usually, we just rent a piano wherever I'm going. It's something that it's invented. It works perfectly
Okay.
fine, regardless of where I go. It can be a very small city in Asia or Latin America, or any city in the US or in the Caribbean or wherever. There's someone who rents
There's
a
a
piano.
piano
Yeah.
somewhere.
So I've
That's
been
they
building
will
this
rent it.
database of piano renters around the globe, and I know probably most of the piano renters anywhere. And if it's a new location, it's pretty easy to find one, and we just rent a piano. They bring it, they tune it, and then they pick it up. It's actually it sounds very complicated, but it's very simple. It's just like renting another piece of equipment, right?
I'm sure that's fascinating. I was just curious because I'm like, wow, we have this presenter. They're gonna have their piano on stage. Um, but going back to the question there, you've been working with our team, right? As we plan out Inner Circle, you probably kind of have a good understanding of the profile of individual that'll be there, right? Dental practice owners, operators, executives. You've given your talk 1,200 times, which is remarkable. What would be one or two insights you think this crowd is going to pull from your session during Inner Circle?
Yeah, I think that the message behind what I
Hmm.
do is something people are longing to hear. I think we are living in a very particular point in time, where there is first all of this technological revolution of artificial intelligence, and all of this is kind of overwhelming us a lot. And I think that my message brings back humanity into the equation, because we've been focusing so much on the technology, which is fantastic, and it's there to support us. But the stars of the show are still humans. Are it's us, right? And we've been, I think, kind of blurring that vision, and giving more attention to the technology than to the humans. And I think that one of the things that my talk accomplishes is that it brings humanism back into the center of the equation. And I think that's something that people really want to hear. And the other thing is that we are in a very, I don't know what's the word, divided world. I think that technology has helped to divide us even more. And to create these probably extremisms, and it's crazy. But at the end, I think that regardless if we think differently, we are very similar, right? And my
Yeah.
message brings this sense of unity, of belonging, of it doesn't matter if we think different, we are working together, and we can get along well. And after the whole experience unfolds, there is this sense of unity, of belonging, of where those imaginary boundaries kind of blur, and it gives us a sense of we are one. We are working together. We have probably different ways of seeing the world, but our goals and our our what we want is very similar, no? So it's something that brings back humanism. I think brings back hope. I think brings back the idea that we can all flourish on what we do by becoming virtuosos, by growing in virtue, by focusing on these 9 virtues that I'm going to highlight during my presentation. And it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful to see how the audiences, evolve during just 60 minutes. At the beginning, what is this guy going to tell us? At the end, everybody is super happy, um, committed, equipped. And I think it's going to be a great session. I'm really looking forward for it.
I'm looking forward to it as well too. I would say I love your thought on there, that human connection. It's probably one of my favorite things I pull out of going to events, and I go to a lot of them throughout the years. Just connect with people you may not ordinarily talk to, because like you said, we've kind of divided a little bit due
Mhm.
to this, technological connection with one another versus the human to human. So I'm really looking forward to it. Now, you've built quite this exciting career across business, music, and now you've blended the two together. When you reflect back, what are you most proud of when you look at your journey so far?
That I think that every experience that I had brings a little ingredient to this beautiful recipe, right? So from the very early days when I graduated from college and I started a company with all of its struggles, ups and downs, and glories, but pains, all of that. Then when I went abroad and studied in Switzerland, and then when I came back and worked for a pharmacy chain, and then when I joined a multinational corporation, every single experience that I've had in my life has contributed to what I'm doing today. I don't think that I could do something as round, as solid, if I wouldn't have gone through all of those experiences. Once I was ending a keynote in a big corporation here in the US, and one of the VPs came to me and he told me, we've got many musicians that come and talk to us, and music is always special, but you have something different, and it's that you have been where we are. You have managed businesses, you have managed people, you have gone through the struggles of running a business, of running a team. And I think that experience gives me a lot of perspective, a lot of insight, so that when I bring music into my message, it's actually very coherent with what people are experiencing, with what people live every day, with its challenges, with its good things. So I think there's a very good sense of connection with what I say and the audience, not only because I think I've crafted a good story and it's embellished with this beautiful music, but because behind all of that, there's been 25 years of experiences, of building, managing, growing, creating, closing, succeeding and failing in business, and I think that gives a wonderful perspective to what I do, right? So I think everything has brought a little bit of an element to what you're going to witness in January.
Well, thanks for sharing that with me. I mean, yeah, people love to hear from their peers, and it sounds like you are, and you just blend this additional element in there to make it a little bit more exciting and engaging. I'm really looking forward to the session, sitting through it. I really appreciate you taking the time out to chat with me today. Let the audience know, because a lot of people that are listening, viewing, probably in attendance at Inner Circle, or maybe some folks on the fence about coming. So I want to bring some people on so they get to know you a little bit better as a person and what you've gone through and your story. And show them it's going to be a little different than the traditional events that they might be going to, where they're just a regular speaker. Probably not many who bring a piano out with them. Yeah, thanks for taking the time out and chatting with me today.
Dan, a gift to be here today. Looking forward for our encounter in January, and thank you for inviting me. Truly, it's
Of
it's an
course.
honor to be here.
All right. I'll see you in San Antonio. Thanks,
See you
Felipe.
then. Okay, bye then.